This chart looks at the biggest entertainment launches in history. Down here are the platinum albums and blockbuster movie premieres. And right up here, towering over them, is Grand Theft Auto V. Within 3 days of its release, the game pulled in $1 billion in revenue. Today, numbers like that are almost expected from top-tier gaming franchises. But back in the early 1990s, the video game industry was already pulling its weight, generating a massive $7 billion annually. Despite all that cash, the medium itself was viewed largely as a collection of children's toys. The shelves were filled with family-friendly mascots and linear puzzles. Games had clear rules, restrictive paths, and zero cultural edge. They were entirely separate from the rebellious energy of adult cinema or rock music. So how exactly did a medium defined by sterile, restrictive challenges evolve into the highest-grossing, grittiest pop culture property on Earth? The answer starts in 1970s London with two brothers, Sam and Dan Houser. They grew up fully immersed in adult pop culture. Their father owned a popular jazz club, rubbing elbows with famous musicians, while their mother acted in gritty crime thrillers. As they grew up, Sam developed a deep obsession with video games, specifically a space exploration title called Elite. While other games forced you down a single path, Elite let him fly off in any direction, trade goods, or even play as a space mugger. It showed Sam that code could be used to build an immersive world, a true alternative to standard obstacle courses. Then, for his 18th birthday in 1989, Sam took a trip to New York City. The speed, the noise, the sheer filth of the streets captivated him. It was a massive visual and cultural shock compared to London, and he internalized every detail of that urban chaos. During that same trip, his father set up a lunch with an executive from the BMG record label. Sam spent the entire meal aggressively telling the executive exactly why the label was completely out of touch with modern youth culture. The executive called him a lunatic and then offered him a job. Sam couldn't write a single line of code, but as an aggressive young executive embedded in the music industry, he was perfectly positioned to take the adult themes, cinematic grit, and musical rebellion he grew up with and force them into the family-friendly world of video games. By the mid-90s, BMG decided to take a risk and launch a video game publishing division. After 2 years of grinding, Sam became the head of development at BMG Interactive. Most of their early titles flopped, and he desperately needed a breakout hit to prove the division was worth keeping. In 1996, a Scottish studio, DMA Design, approached him with a prototype called Race and Chase. It featured a highly impressive, living, breathing city engine. The problem was the actual gameplay. You played as a police officer who had to obey strict rules to catch criminals. It was effectively a highly realistic, incredibly boring traffic simulator. Sam looked at the simulation and suggested they invert the entire premise. Instead of enforcing the law, you should break it. He wanted players blowing past red lights, driving on the sidewalk, stealing cars, and getting actively rewarded for running over pedestrians and shooting back at the cops. This new, chaotic direction attracted his younger brother, Dan. Fresh off a literature degree from Oxford, Dan stepped in to weave narrative dialogue, deep cuts of hip-hop, and direct homages to classic gangster films directly into the code. By tearing down the standard rules of video game logic and replacing them with the tone of a gritty crime thriller, the Houser brothers had built something entirely new. Grand Theft Auto was born, offering players an interactive, fully playable crime movie. The release of a game where you explicitly play as a murderous criminal caused massive, immediate outrage. Parents panicked, the press labeled it a scandal, and even the UK House of Lords publicly condemned it. Instead of backing down or apologizing, the Housers leaned directly into the panic. They recognized that being denounced by politicians was the ultimate badge of honor for their target audience, and they weaponized the outrage as highly effective, totally free marketing. This graph displays the game's unusual sales trajectory. Most games peak on day one and drop off sharply. Grand Theft Auto did the opposite. The launch was relatively quiet, but sales compounded week after week entirely through word of mouth, keeping the title in the top 20 charts for over a year and a half. Despite this success, BMG's executives didn't understand the gaming market and decided to sell off the division. In 1998, Take-Two Interactive bought them out. Sam negotiated to keep his edgy corporate culture intact, rebranding his team as Rockstar Games, and eventually acquiring DMA Design entirely to form Rockstar North. The Housers navigated the corporate buyout precisely because they had hard data on their side. Leaning into adult-oriented, anti-establishment media proved to be a deeply lucrative new business model. The team followed up in 1999 with Grand Theft Auto 2, and while it managed to sell over 2 million copies, reviewers correctly noted it was a rushed product that leaned on exactly the same outdated, top-down graphics as the original. The industry was moving fast. Titles like Metal Gear Solid were successfully demonstrating how to integrate complex cinematic storytelling into gameplay. By contrast, GTA 2 still featured a completely silent protagonist viewed entirely from a bird's-eye perspective. Sam and Dan wanted a fully immersive cinematic experience, but they hit a hard wall. The hardware limitations of the 1990s consoles simply couldn't render the massive, detailed 3D cities their concept required. Then, Sony announced the PlayStation 2. It offered a massive leap in processing power and data storage. This was exactly the technological canvas Rockstar needed to pull the camera down to street level and finally build their urban chaos in fully explorable 3D space. With an independent corporate structure supporting them and raw, next-generation computing power at their disposal, Rockstar was perfectly positioned to sketch out the blueprint for Grand Theft Auto 3. They finally had the tools to build a virtual city, and in doing so, they would redefine the entire entertainment industry. At the start of the 2000s, Rockstar Games moved away from the arcade style of their earlier work. They set out to build an interactive gangster thriller, borrowing characters and hard-boiled dialogue directly from the R-rated crime films the Houser brothers grew up watching. To reach a wide audience, Rockstar needed a mature rating. Anything more restrictive, the dreaded adults-only tag, would mean retail giants like Walmart and Best Buy would refuse to stock the game, effectively killing it on arrival. But just a month before launch, reality collided with the fiction. As the Twin Towers fell, releasing a violent crime simulator set in a digital replica of New York City became a massive liability. The studio went into an immediate panic. They frantically altered the skyline, deleted the ability to fly, and toned down the gore in a desperate bid to satisfy regulators and keep the release on track. Navigating that crisis left the studio emboldened. Having survived national scrutiny and secured their mature rating, Rockstar moved forward with the confidence that even their most extreme content could find a path to the mainstream. When GTA 3 finally arrived, the cultural response was immediate. The game's success proved that millions of players were hungry for dark, complex themes, rather than the traditional fantasy settings of most contemporary games. The financial impact was staggering. This chart shows Take-Two Interactive stock, which nearly tripled from $7 to almost $20 in the 4 months following the release. The game generated $400 million in its first year alone. That success came with a heavy backlash. Media critics and politicians denounced the game's violence, and Australia went as far as banning the title entirely. This left the Houser brothers in a difficult position. They had created a $500 million phenomenon, and they were now under immense pressure to find a way to top it. They looked to the next project, Vice City, to raise the stakes. They spent $5 million to refine their technology and capture the neon-soaked atmosphere of 1980s Miami. To add cinematic legitimacy, Rockstar began hiring established Hollywood actors for the lead roles, bringing in Ray Liotta to voice the game's protagonist. They backed these performances with a script that spanned 900 pages, featuring icons like Burt Reynolds to fill the world with life and personality. The results were undeniable. Vice City broke sales records within 48 hours and eventually pushed Take-Two Interactive's total revenue past the $1 billion mark. The controversies scaled up as well. Lawsuits and public protests followed, with the Haitian American community and government officials accusing the game of inciting violence and promoting racism. Rockstar issued formal apologies and removed controversial lines, but the revenue continued to climb. With $1 billion in the bank, the studio had concrete evidence that public outrage didn't hinder their growth, it fueled it. With San Andreas, the scale expanded again. Rockstar built an entire digital state mimicking the urban sprawls of early 90s Los Angeles and San Francisco, their most ambitious environment yet. The narrative shifted towards racially charged gang warfare. While the studio worried regulators would react poorly to the subject matter, Dan Houser pushed forward with his most complex script yet. Sam Houser, meanwhile, was focused on a different conflict. He was frustrated by a regulatory system that allowed R-rated films to depict sex and nudity while threatening video games with commercial exile via the adults-only rating. To challenge this, he had his developers build an uncensored minigame involving explicit sexual interactions. He wanted to test the rating board's limits and force the medium to be treated like cinema. The focus at Rockstar had shifted. They moved beyond technical milestones, using their code to launch a direct ideological challenge against their own regulators. The rating board didn't blink. They made it clear that if the sex scenes remained, the game would receive an adults-only rating, and major stores would refuse to sell it. With the release date approaching, Rockstar was caught in a technical bind. Deleting that much code so late in the process risked introducing catastrophic bugs that could break the entire game. Developers used a technique called wrapping, enclosing the explicit code, a glowing block, behind a locked barrier. Instead of sex scenes, players saw a shaking house and a coffee cup icon. The code was still there, awaiting a planned PC update. By relying on a precarious engineering workaround instead of a full deletion, Rockstar unknowingly shipped millions of console discs with a ticking time bomb embedded in the code. When the PC version launched a year later, the plan fell apart. Modders quickly bypassed the wrapping and exposed the hidden files. The hot coffee mod went viral instantly, allowing any player to access the explicit content Rockstar had promised to remove. Rockstar tried to deflect, publicly claiming that the modders had fabricated the code themselves. It was a fatal miscalculation. The lie brought the full weight of the government down on the studio. Investigations by the rating board and the United States Congress soon proved that the explicit scenes were present on every copy of the game. San Andreas would go on to sell 27 million copies, becoming a landmark success. By attempting to deceive their regulators, Rockstar traded their hard-won mainstream credibility for a federal investigation that would define the studio for years to come. In 2005, Rockstar Games was the most infamous studio, but behind closed doors, they were bleeding cash at a terrifying rate. Hackers had just uncovered hidden, sexually explicit minigames inside Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. The resulting hot coffee scandal provoked massive outrage from parents, and soon, high-profile politicians like Senator Hillary Clinton were drafting legislation to strictly regulate video game content across the country. The retail and international backlash was swift. Walmart, which accounted for a full fifth of Rockstar sales, pulled the game from its shelves overnight. Whole countries, like Australia, banned it entirely, forcing the studio to spend $25 million recalling and fixing the game. Then the legal assaults began. The Manhattan District Attorney launched a criminal investigation, and the Federal Trade Commission probed the company for deceptive marketing. By the end of 2006, Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two Interactive, had lost nearly $185 million, and 3 of the studio's 5 original founders had quit. With millions lost and the company's reputation in tatters, Sam and Dan Houser found themselves at a crossroads. Rather than downsizing or selling off the studio, they decided to leverage their remaining resources to overhaul their entire production process. To make matters worse, Electronic Arts, their biggest competitor, had just purchased the company that made renderware. That was the third-party game engine, the core software framework, that Rockstar used to build out their massive open worlds. EA was not going to let them use it much longer. Without an engine, Rockstar couldn't make games at all. But a small internal team at Rockstar San Diego had spent years quietly coding a proprietary software system for an obscure cowboy shooter called Red Dead Revolver. This flowchart illustrates what Rockstar did next. Just as the new console generation arrived, they ripped out their renderware foundation and replaced it with a heavily upgraded version of the San Diego team's software. They called it the Rockstar Advanced Game Engine, or RAGE. Rather than licensing a safe, proven replacement engine from another company, Rockstar bet their entire production pipeline on an untested, in-house technology. Rockstar applied the new Rage engine to Grand Theft Auto 4, moving away from the arcade-style physics of their previous hits toward a dense, high-definition version of Liberty City. The storytelling shifted to match the grim visuals. Instead of a standard gangster power fantasy, the plot followed Nico Bellic, an immigrant haunted by war crimes, as he navigated a deeply cynical take on the American dream. The developer spent $100 million meticulously mapping out New York's traffic patterns and architecture to bring this to life. The risk paid off immediately, bringing in over $310 million on launch day alone. Instead of resting on those profits, they funneled them right back into the engine, spending 5 years and $90 million to apply that exact same level of hyper-detailed realism to the dying days of the Wild West with Red Dead Redemption. Back-to-back critical hits established a clear pattern. Rockstar's primary strategy was now reliant on taking enormous financial gambles to push the medium forward. There was a severe mathematical flaw in this approach. Their increasingly complex worlds meant the next Grand Theft Auto would take thousands of developers, 5 years and $250 million to build. A studio cannot survive off one payday every half-decade. When GTA 5 launched, it included a persistent online multiplayer mode alongside the single-player story. This was designed to keep players engaged and spending during the years-long gaps between major releases. This chart shows the financial impact of that decision. Instead of relying solely on the traditional launch day sales spike, Rockstar added microtransactions, creating a steeply rising line of continuous passive income. By supplying constant updates, GTA 5 moved over 205 million units. The combined sales and online microtransactions ultimately pushed the game's total revenue past $8.6 billion, making it one of the highest-grossing media properties in history. This endless influx of cash meant the Houser brothers essentially had a blank check. They could now afford to inflate their development cycles to whatever length they wanted. That unlimited budget directly fueled the obsessive, granular detail of Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018. But achieving that level of perfection required a brutal human cost, pushing developers through agonizing 100-hour work weeks, known as crunch culture. The sheer weight of these marathon production schedules finally broke the studio's key architect. Facing severe burnout, Dan Houser took a leave of absence and abandoned the company he co-founded. Now, after years of absolute secrecy, the remaining team is returning to the sun-soaked streets of Miami for Grand Theft Auto 6. Unconfirmed reports suggest the development and marketing costs are hovering around $2 billion. To put that in perspective, that is roughly 7.5 times the cost of GTA 5, crossing a financial threshold never before seen in entertainment history. Rockstar is now locked into a cycle where each success mandates an even larger investment. Their future hinges on whether this game can generate returns to justify a decade of development and a workforce of thousands.